90% of the population have at least one unwanted, harmful habit or addictive behaviour. Now this could be anything from smoking, drinking, ketamine, cocaine, porn, sex and love addiction, to even things like chocolate, too much caffeine, or procrastination. Almost all of us can relate to having an unwanted habit or behaviour. What I'm going to do with you today is we're going to talk about the B=MAT model and the 3 things that are necessary for an unwanted habit or behaviour to exist and how we can tackle this. So the B=MAT model was developed by B.J. Fogg. B.J. Fogg is an American social scientist and professor at Stanford. And what he said was that for any unwanted habit or behaviour, whether it's actually a good behaviour or a bad behaviour, any behaviour, you need 3 things. There needs to be the motivation to do it, so that's the M. There needs to be the ability to do it, so that's the A. And then there needs to be the trigger to do it, and that's the T. And when I think about this model, it reminds me of how a fire is started, because you need different components for a fire to start. You know, you need the fuel, you need the motivation to start the fire, but then you need the trigger, you need the spark to create that situation. So let's talk about the B=MAT model in context with a case study. So imagine somebody who is traveling to go on holiday, and they've gone to the airport and they've been at the airport, they've seen the bar, they've sat down at the bar and they've ordered a couple of drinks, but they've had a couple of drinks too many and they've actually ended up missing their flight and as a result missing their holiday. The motivation for somebody to drink to excess in somewhere like an airport or at a train station, it might be that they're excited. It could be that they've had a really stressful week. It might be that there's some sort of underlying need. And so this is something that I do with my patients when I'm exploring kind of these unwanted habits and behaviours with them. I always try and understand, what is the motivation? What is it that this behaviour is fulfilling? What is the underlying need? If it's the need to relax, if it's the need to enhance an experience, is it the need to kind of help you to fall asleep, or is it the need to kind of numb yourself and block out kind of negative emotions? What is the underlying motivation and what is the need that this habit or behaviour is serving? The second thing that I would do with any of my patients is I would try and understand, what is it that enables this behaviour? What makes it possible? What makes it easier and increases the opportunity for this behaviour? So in that case study that I told you about, you know, the person walking through the airport, what makes it possible? Well, maybe it's been payday just recently. Maybe they don't have any childcare responsibilities that particular evening, or maybe it's at a hotel bar or in a restaurant where they have those little QR codes on the table, and it's just so easy to order the extra beverages because they've removed all of the speed bumps. Often these kind of environments, they are not your friend if you struggle to control your drinking, because they're designed to make you purchase more drinks. They make it easier. They remove all of the speed bumps. And speed bumps is a concept I actually talk about with quite a lot of my patients, because what I try and help my patients to do is to introduce those speed bumps. What is it that's going to slow you down and make it less easy, more difficult, reduce the opportunity for this unwanted habit or behaviour to occur? So I've got patients who've got sex or porn addiction, or also gambling addiction. And one of the things that works really well for those groups of patients is to block certain apps from your phone, or to remove them from your phone, so that if you wanted to act out that behaviour, you would have a speed bump in front of you. You would have to, you'd have to go and download the app or kind of remove the blocking feature. So that's kind of an example of a speed bump. For my patients that maybe want to reduce or quit drinking, another speed bump that I might suggest that they introduce to reduce the ability is, don't have any alcohol in the house. Don't have any of the delivery apps on your phone, like Deliveroo, so that you're making it more difficult for yourself to drink, because it's not as easy for you to do so. You've introduced like a speed bump. The final ingredient that's necessary for the behaviour to exist, alongside the motivation and the ability, is the trigger. So that's the T. There's different kinds of triggers. triggers can be environmental or they can be emotional. Some people talk about them being external or internal triggers. So internal triggers, the emotions, they can be good or bad. You can be overexcited and kind of really happy and joyous, and maybe that's what triggers you to act out this behaviour or harmful habit. But very often it's also negative emotions. So anxiety, stress, low mood, or boredom or loneliness. These are some of the kind of triggers that are internal that kind of spark that behaviour. The other external triggers, it could be certain times, or it could be certain places or certain people. So there might be, if you look at the pattern of your behaviour, you might see certain trends. So there's maybe certain days of the week that you're more at risk of these unwanted habits or behaviours, or certain times. So I have some patients and people that I know who a really high risk time for them to drink is after they put the kids to bed, because that's when they have the opportunity, that's when they've got the motivation to do so, and that's when they've got that trigger, because they see it's 9 p.m, there's a certain TV show that's just come on, and that is their trigger. It's seeing the time and that environment around them, and maybe a certain TV show, that ritualistic kind of habit that they've got themselves into. So my challenge to you is to think about your own unwanted habit or addictive behaviour and see if you can apply that B equals MAT model to it. What is the behaviour? And then what's the motivation that's driving it? What increases the ability for it to occur? And then what is the trigger? What is the spark that makes it happen?